welcome to Zipline. We got another great show today. What I really get to do that's so awesome is work with, Midwest-based companies that are really doing some cutting-edge stuff. And today I've got a partner from ExactHire on the show today, Jeff Hallam. Tell us what ExactHire is all about.
Sure, yeah, and certainly thank you for having me on today, Tony. Basically, in shortest terms, what we do at ExactHire, an easy analogy for it is we're very similar to a Salesforce for hiring.
Okay.
So Salesforce.com, of course, allows you to organize all of your activities around prospecting and selling.
Okay.
We basically provide that same platform of technology for organizations as they're looking to hire employees.
Now,
Whether they're new hires or turnover, whatever it might be.
So this is a space that's really been growing like this, and the talent management, the talent question is one of those things that a lot of organizations are really trying to find a way to make that a competitive advantage. How are companies using ExactHire to do that?
Yeah, I think our target market tends to be the small to mid-sized business market, or that SMB space. And for many of those organizations, technology like ours really allows them to compete more favorably with those larger players in their space, so that to applicants, they look bigger, they look more professional. It's just an easier way for them to be able to harness all of that information, keep track of it, so that those good people don't fall through the cracks.
So when you speak to those SMBs, those guys that are, how are they using your technology? What is it exactly? Walk me through what the user sees and what they're getting out of that as a net benefit. What are they actually doing with the technology?
Sure. No, I think that's a great question. Really, there are two sides of it. So there's side number one faces their applicants. So we would create a hosted, branded career portal for our clients, so that when their applicants are looking for positions with that organization, whether they see them on a job board, whether they see them from that group's homepage, whatever it might be, there's a branded portal that looks and replicates the rest of their web branding, so that to the candidates, we're virtually invisible.
Okay.
Once those candidates have gone through whatever process our client requests, whether they're just simply gathering resumes, wanting a full-on application, whatever it might be, then behind the scenes, side number two comes into play, and that's where our clients then are able to keep track of who's applied for what jobs. What do we have in the pipeline? How long have those people been there? Who are the better ones that are bubbling to the top? Which ones are disqualified? And then all of the other correspondence and notes and so on and so forth around that entire process are all housed in our repository.
It's really like really a pipeline for talent. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, I would say it's a very good analogy. Absolutely.
So I got to think that this is a tough space to compete because there's some big players in this game. How do you compete against the other big companies that you're going up against every day? I mean, you guys are a small business, right? What are you using as that competitive advantage?
Yeah, I think it typically comes back to a couple of core things. Certainly the technology is one nice differentiator for us, in that from a functional perspective, we're able to provide all the bells and whistles that any of the larger players are able to for the space we're going after. But at the same time, our clients tell us very consistently that it's a lot more user-friendly than some of those larger players. And that's an easy thing to talk about or claim, but I think when people look at our solution relative to a lot of the others out there, that certainly ends up being the case. So that's certainly a very, probably the primary differentiator. But right behind that, frankly, is we're very big on providing service along with the software.
Right.
And a lot of the larger players have gone through acquisitions. They've been absorbed into much, much larger organizations. For clients that are calling in looking for help going to a call center, they're being routed into email trees and they're not hearing back for 2 or 3 days at a time. We offer a nice opportunity to let them be a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Well, and Jeff, I think this is one of the reasons I really invented the Zipline is because that story, what you just said in a small statement, having service beyond the software. I mean, when SaaS first came out, like I remember it was like a revolutionary model. Like we were just gonna charge you monthly, and then you automatically got the updates for free. And people thought they reinvented, the entire business model. But really making sure that there is service there behind the software. I think that's one of the things that we deal with every day. It's like it's one thing to help people learn and use another technology. It's another thing to truly adopt that technology so the organization gets the net benefit for which it was designed. And that's what I think makes you guys different. Is that fair?
I would say it's absolutely fair. And that happens both at the implementation stage. There's a big differentiator there for us. And you mentioned a very good term that we quote a lot, which is adoption.
Right.
We work very hard up front with our clients to do a lot of that initial heavy lifting so that when we train them, we're actually training them on a site that's done, it's unique to them, and they can start using it right away so there's no drop off. You do get better adoption, faster adoption, right, and it starts to spread throughout the organization.
So it's branded to them. You hold their hand as you go through adoption. You're helping them build a pipeline of talent, manage it. You probably get best practice that you're also sharing with your client so they know how to read the data and what your tool is actually showing them. Is that correct?
Yeah, thankfully, like I said, it's fairly straightforward as far as once they're in and they're starting to see some flow of candidates, being able to access our tool and get the information out that they want to, thankfully, is a pretty easy endeavor. But people will still come to us occasionally and say, what are you seeing happening with other clients? What sites are driving traffic for them?
Right.
How are they managing candidates more efficiently? And so while we're not holding ourselves out there as consultants per
right.
se, we will certainly share that with them when it's appropriate.
Right.
Absolutely.
So Jeff, where's your product path? Where do you see the vision and the future of not only your product but the industry in general? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I think the two big things that are driving our world that are starting to come into play very much so are social and mobile.
Right.
Yep, nothing unique about that. That's
right.
what's driving most technology groups. But when you look at recruiting and hiring, finding ways to let organizations make potential applicants aware out there that their positions are available through something other than traditional job boards, that's definitely a driver. We've got some pretty heavy social elements in our product now.
Right.
That's certainly something on the roadmap is to add even more to that.
Right.
And then I think the same thing with mobile, making it a little bit easier for candidates to see your openings on a mobile device, perhaps even make an initial application via mobile device. That's a very difficult thing to pull off right now because of some logistics out there, having files that need to be uploaded, et cetera. So until the population at large is a little better educated on things like Dropbox and where they can access files via the web, there are some obstacles there. But I think those two pieces are clearly where the market's going over the next 4 or 5 years.
Right, and really the user is getting so much more sophisticated on how to share information, so much more enabled with what they can, how they can communicate and how the speed of which they can get that information. And I really agree with you. I think that like the social and mobile is going to drive everything so much. And I see there's greater opportunity for companies like you to really kind of leapfrog some of those big players in the game and use those two components to really kind of outpace them because you're not encumbered in old technology. Do you agree to that?
Yes. And I think that's technology, as so many people have said, it really has helped level the playing field. So for groups like ours, if you can stay out on that front edge and kind of see what's coming and react, it's a lot easier, to turn this smaller boat than it is for some of these other folks to turn a very large ship. And so it does make it a little bit easier for us to get out there and stay out there. And that's certainly what we're trying to do.
ExactHire is right here in Indiana, and you guys are really one of those great companies that are seeking to help bring that big league technology to the SMB space. And I think that's really a champion of that equalization that technology can bring. What's the one thing you want to let people know? One thing you want to let them know about ExactHire? The one difference about you and everybody else out there?
Yeah, I think we talked about the competitive differentiators. I think probably the biggest misconception we run into out there a lot of times is that technology like this is going to be very cost prohibitive. When you look at the size of our clients, most of our clients are going to have anywhere from 100 employees and some even below that, up to a few hundred employees. So we truly are in that SMB space. And so, when you look at our price points, this is not a big ticket item.
Right.
And I think that's a very nice takeaway for folks, because a lot of times they're thinking that this would be nice to have, but they just can't afford it. And thankfully that's not true.
Right. It's almost a tool that once you get it implemented, you can't believe you led your life without it as an organization. Right. I mean, that's
exactly.
It's a no-brainer kind of tool to get done what you need to get done. Hey Jeff, you just been Zip.
All right, great. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
My pleasure. Great job.
All right, take care.